My name is Haas. I see some people in the chat. I see Lewis in the chat. Hey, Lewis, thank you for being here. Thank you to all the people who have been supporting this activism endeavor that I've been undertaking for the last, I don't know, who knows how long. Thanks to the inspiration from the activist named Chip, who, as far as I know, kind of pioneered this whole social experiment model. So thanks, Chip, for doing this. If you're watching, and gonna keep this going. Hey, Jake, good to see you in the chat. I'm gonna hold this sign. It says, "Come participate in a social experiment," and I'll see if anybody stops and talks to me. So I haven't been out doing this in a few days, so I might be a little bit rusty, but I'm just gonna kind of try a slightly different approach today. I might just try to get into it a lot more quickly. So we'll see. I'll try a different prompt, and you guys can let me know what you think about it. But basically, I think I'm just going to be asking people, and I guess tell me what you guys think about this. If you think it's misguided, let me know. But basically, my plan is just to ask people if they think that animals are objects or subjects, and then depending on what they say, I'll just basically say like, so we shouldn't use them, right? And then just kind of go from there. It seems like a really simple way to kind of cut through a lot of the fluff, I guess, when it comes to like the kind of question trees I've been using before, like the fruit flies and all that stuff. So I don't know. Any vegans in the chat, if you want to share any thoughts on that, just saying, do you think animals are objects or subjects? And then from there, I can basically say, so do you think, based on that, should we or shouldn't we use them? And I don't know. It seems like that's all that it takes to kind of send us off to the races, as it were. So I think that's what I'll be trying. I'll see how it goes. I might revert back to the burn example, or I might just ask what they think about people eating dogs. I'm not really sure. I'll kind of feel it out and play it by ear, just based on, I guess, how the conversation goes. Would you like to participate? All right, great. Do you mind being live on my YouTube channel? Okay, great. So why don't you come into the frame here? What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin, cool. My name is Haas.
Hi, Haas.
And hi. And basically, I'm asking this question today. Do you think that animals are subjects or objects?
It depends on context. So I don't in any way, shape, or form feel animals are objects until they're objectified. Like so, as far as meat products, clothing, if they're turned into a textile or something like that, then the product that they make is an object. I think that they have been subject to a lot of really unfair practices, even though they're animals. And I'm by no means, shape, or form a vegan. But I don't. I think that the answer to that question depends on context. Even though I don't think any living thing is a subject. I mean, is an object. Is an object. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you believe that other living beings are not objects, it seems like you say you're in no way, shape, or form a vegan.
In no way, shape.
But it seems like you kind of are, at least in your heart, right?
Yeah, so I believe that every living thing, has rights, and I mean, if they feel pain, and those things should be treated as though they're a living, breathing thing worthy of respect. That being said, as an avid meat eater, an omnivore, right? I believe that there is some credence to not the chain of command, but the order of, I forget the name.
Food chain?
To the food chain, right? With humans being at the top because we're the most cerebral, we're far from being the strongest or anything like that. And not that I don't think that if it's because I try to eat pretty sustainably and responsibly, but it's hard to avoid in this world sometimes. I don't know. That's a nuanced question.
Yeah, I appreciate the nuanced answer. I would say a food chain kind of implies like ecological balance.
Yeah.
But just so happens to be the case that we're actually throwing the ecological balance out of whack in the practices of farming animals en masse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, And once again, it depends on context, right? Because there's certain animals that wouldn't survive without certain farming. Like there's certain salmon that wouldn't survive past a certain. I've known of. I've read about certain salmon or certain fish that wouldn't be able to. That particular line would survive without a certain amount of population control, right? I'm in no way, shape, or form a fan of farming animals. I don't think that that's. I don't think that that's right. I don't think that's something a practice that we should have. I think that we should have some much better, sustainable, or more humane way of population control to the betterment of said animal. But yeah, long. I'm being long. Long story short,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I
that.
guess if you're against the farming of animals, then are you kind of espousing that the ideal scenario would be for everybody to eat kind of like so-called wild animals?
That's a hard question to answer once again because then that would because then you have to think about the responsibility afterward, right? The thought to what is this? So then, how do we eat wild animals afterwards, right? We
After
would.
what?
So after that decision is made,
Mm.
how do we eat wild animals? We as people have to go out and hunt and do that, and then create an atmosphere where we can be able to hunt and eat. But then also we're also allowing that animal to grow so that we can eat for our families to be able to eat for a long amount of time. So with that in mind, we as a people right now are incredibly and honestly irresponsibly removed from the process of hunting, removed from the process of actually taking life from an animal. So hunting wild animals, I don't think that I would ever do that. And that's the irresponsible hypocrite in me. But other than that, no. That's yeah, it's a little deep after work.
Do you feel averse to the idea of killing an animal yourself?
On the face of it, yes. But if I have to, hypothetical situation, thrown into the wild, there's no other ways to be able to make things happen. I would try
Survival.
survival, right? I would want to have a more vegetarian diet that relies on fish, and if I were to eat meat, it would be more fish or a boar of some sort. A boar of some sort. I would have no choice, I feel like I would have no choice but to do that.
What
If I
about
was
just a Friday evening though? You know, you just got off work. If you wanted to, you could hop on 9094, go up to the suburbs. I don't know if it's legal or whatever, but you know, theoretically, you could
assuming it's
go
legal.
and shoot a deer and put them in your car and chop them up into pieces and have them on your grill by tonight, you know,
So
or a frying pan or whatever.
it's so funny. I have a friend that actually would do that. I have a friend that actually would, if it were legal, actually, because he goes hunting and that's his thing, right? So me personally,
The
I like
taking
the
of the
idea.
life part
It's the
seems
taking
like
of the life. It's the taking of the life part. But I have a hard time answering that question without giving framing to context. Because if it were survival,
yeah,
it
I'm
becomes
talking
up
about
to you.
just the Friday
If it's a
evening.
Friday
You,
evening,
you're in downtown Chicago.
yeah,
There's
I live right there. So if I were to leave my house, go out to the suburbs or somewhere where there is wild game where I can be able to hunt, and there is no other meat I can be able to like, I had no other choice but to go out and do that, and at my leisure, probably not. Probably not. I would do it sparingly. I would say, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it. I would say I would do it sparingly.
so in a survival context, basically, is what it kind of hinge on, right? Like
Yeah,
whether
in the survival contest, but even with your hypothetical, I would do it even then sparingly as something that I would every once in a while do.
I mean, but do you do that now every once in a while? I guess because that is the current situation, right?
Yeah.
It's not a survival situation. We're in downtown Chicago. Do you go kill animals occasionally?
No, the occasional spider, but that's what my wife screams. So other than that, no, I'll go to the store, get some meat to be able to cook. But if that were my only option to get meat, specifically red meat, or to eat a dead animal that was done, because I would.
So I guess it's worth raising the point that maybe there's a third option, which would just be to not eat a farmed dead animal or a freshly killed dead animal.
So vegan or vegetarian?
I mean, right now we're just talking about the flesh eating. We're not
Right.
talking about so much exploitation. I think
Right.
that's like a different conversation.
Right, but
Um,
you can't classify one without addressing the other, right?
Well, the egg and dairy industries are the meat industry,
Right.
essentially. So
Yeah.
yeah, I take exploitation as a whole. You know,
Right,
when I
right,
look at
right.
it.
But if I, as Kevin, right, were to, my only, the way the society is built up, the only way I'm able to get meat is if I were to go out and hunt for meat. Then I would sparingly go and do that. I can really see myself going to do that because of the diet and the type of person that I am. I would do that. It's not so much about killing. If it was a survival aspect, absolutely would do that. But if it's just, I don't know, it's a weird question to answer. But to give you the cleanest answer, it would be yes, I would go out.
I guess my question is, so there's kind of like, I think, two things that are getting blurred together. One is like a survival scenario, like a general survival scenario,
Uh-huh.
and the other one is like if you had no access to meat, basically, right?
Mhm.
And those are different scenarios, right?
Right.
Very different scenarios,
Yeah.
because you can be healthy without eating animals, right?
Absolutely. There are times where me and my wife actually go on vegetarian months. Like there are months where we do not eat at all, and it's not necessarily because of any amount of guilty conscience or not wanting to be a person that doesn't eat meat, but it's more so from a perspective of we wanted to eat a lot more cleaner, but maybe detox or something like that. I'm a person that believes that if we were given, if there was an opportunity to not eat someone that I consider a pure or super intelligent or any of those other things, because it's hard to gauge the intelligence or at least anything outside of the emotional intelligence of an animal, and eat it.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the idea of emotional intelligence, and intelligence in general. I think like,
I have to go soon.
okay, no worries. I just want to, I guess, maybe close by saying like the intelligence of them, I think, shouldn't dictate whether or not they have moral worth.
Yeah,
I would say
that's
like
very
it's
true.
their
That's very
sentience,
true.
like their capacity to experience subjective states.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you know, if you're a fruit fly, I don't know how much of a subjective state they have, but like,
right.
you know, a cow, a chicken, a pig, they're able to have very deep emotional states.
Right.
I would also posit that compassion, I would say, is one of the highest forms of ethical intelligence
Yeah.
that we can have. So I think, you know, if we fulfill that like high ideal that we can expect of ourselves, we would probably choose to eat things that result in less harm, exploitation inflicted upon others.
Yeah. So the moral standpoint, that's a little tough, don't you think? Because it's hard to gauge the emotional context, the emotional ability of a fruit fly, of a spider. You don't know the fear that goes to their minds as someone is spotting their web.
Yeah, we can avoid exploiting all of them, though, right? As much as we can avoid. Like, for example, if I left a watermelon out in my kitchen counter, if I just cut it in half and let it rot for 2 weeks, I'm gonna have fruit flies on it,
Yeah.
breeding. If I just let it, I could have a whole cloud of fruit flies, and I could jump through doing ninja shit in my kitchen and clap them, and then lick my hand, and I could be farming fruit flies and getting like cheap protein, but free, basically protein.
That's disgusting.
Yeah,
but
but they would die instantaneously compared to like, you know, a cow who gets like hung upside down by their feet, cut ear to ear. They're choking on their own blood. They're very similar anatomy to humans.
That's very horrible. That's very horrible. But death is death, is it not?
Killing is killing, though.
Killing is killing.
Killing is not death. I mean,
So-
yeah, it's
So,
different.
because death is death and killing and though killing and death are two different things, there's a humane way to take some to dispense death.
How do you take the word humane to apply in this context? Isn't it kind of like an oxymoron? Because if you wouldn't want something done to you, I would say it's not humane, right? Like,
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct. It's not humane, but context matters in every point.
so put yourself in the context. How would you want to be killed humanely if like somebody didn't have a justification to take your life?
If
Would
someone
you
didn't have
accept?
justification, don't take my
Yeah,
life.
and do you have a justification to take animals' lives if it's not for survival?
If it's not for survival, no. But if it's for survival, absolutely.
But
Because that's how.
And then
the
I
world
guess the
works.
context
We're
of
not
here
older
and now, are you eating animals for survival? We established that you're not, right?
than- No, I'm eating it because it's part of my diet and it's something that I enjoy.
But as part of your diet, it's a description. It's not a prescription, right? It's just like a reflexive fact. It's part of your diet. The sky's blue. We're standing on the ground, but it doesn't. It's the is ought. dichotomy, right? You're saying what is, not what ought to be. It's not a normative statement.
Uh,
Because you're saying you don't need to do it for survival, but that's just what you do. It's just like saying that's just the way things are. That's just the way my diet is.
I don't know that to be true, but I do have to go.
Okay.
How? I don't have time to have this conversation.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
But I'm more than welcome to the conversation.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Framing it from that context would make it seem as though your actual human society are monstrous by nature. We are willing to do to others what we will not want done to ourselves, and that's hypocrisy, and that's unfortunately society, and that's how things are.
Planet Slaughterhouse.
And okay, so I'm not for slaughter.
Gas chambers, forcible impregnation, but that's all part and parcel.
I don't support any of those things.
Do you pay for that stuff though?
I try my very best not to.
So you try to basically be plant-based as much as you can?
No. I try to live a life. I try to eat, if I were to eat protein, if I were to eat meat, chicken, beef, whatever it is, find businesses or find factories or find ways that actually
stab the animals humanely.
Oh, you did that for me. We saying stabbing.
Well, I mean, but that's how they're all killed, right? So the number one cause of death in this whole world is throat slitting.
I did not know that. I did not know.
Well, Kevin, I appreciate your time. I'll let you go, but I appreciate you engaging with me, in good faith.
Yeah.
I'd really encourage you to look into a documentary called Dominion.
Uh-huh.
It's called Dominion 2018 on YouTube. It's all standard practices in factory farms. It's filmed in Australia, but it's basically the same around the world. And basically just like, it's not like a highlight reel of just like animals being slaughtered. It's basically just like narrated by different animal rights activists, including Joaquin Phoenix. It just basically like shows you hidden camera footage that was placed in different slaughterhouses. And just see if you're okay paying for it, because whether it's humane or factory farmed, whatever, CAFO type stuff, they all end up in the same slaughterhouse. So, and I just encourage you to also just think about the idea of confinement and enslavement of animals, just the general trajectory of their lives from the day that they're born, having the day that they're going to be killed predetermined, and just ask yourself if you're okay continuing to pay for it.
Cool, thank you. I will definitely look it up. I want to have more of this conversation because a part of me wants to ask, if you're this zealous, right, for the rights of animals, are you equally as zealous for the rights of humans, for different ethnicities and races, the different guerrilla wars and things like that? We cry and we go and fight for things, but there are men like me and men that I've known that are African American that are shot dead in the streets because I live right there. I am the chief revenue officer for an advisory group out of New Jersey and New York. I do very well for myself, but anytime that I go and buy a condo, anytime that I move into a new place here in one of the most affluent places in Illinois, right? The first thing that people ask is not welcome to the building. They ask me to come fix their washer dryers or something like that. I've been told within the last couple months to go back to my country. I have a client that wants to open up a store, that wants to open up a retail Lowe's in a town, and I said that I don't feel comfortable going there because they're a sundown town.
What is that?
Sundown town. Sundown town is basically a town wherein it is. The reason why the word sundown is because you're as an African American or as any minority better not be caught when the sun is down in that town.
In the U.S. in 2025.
Yes.
What the hell?
New Lenox. There's different parts of Iowa. There's definitely a lot of parts of Illinois and all over this town presently that still have racist roots and things like that. I have personally experienced those things recently. And I'm not coming at you. Please don't think I'm coming at you, right? But I see so much fighting for animals, which should be something that's done. Absolutely, I'm not comparing the two. But I find more times than not, because it's a lot easier to fight for animals.
It's really not.
I would disagree. But once again, that's a difference in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that when humans have bad shit happening to them, discrimination, they say we're being treated like animals. Animals are actually the lowest common denominator. It's like, it's just assumed, it's a given that they're going to be subjugated and dominated. But I would also say that the first form of discrimination that we're taught is actually speciesism, more often than not. Speciesism is just based on sizes, shapes, and colors, right? That animal's a pig, right? Stab them in the throat. That's a dog. We need to pet them. So we basically, based on how animals look, we apply a speciesistic, human supremacistic mindset to them. And I would say, let me just complete my point here. If I could just complete my point, based on if we're willing to discriminate based on species, and we have a society that doesn't discriminate based on species in the future, where kids are taught this is a dog, they need to be respected and treated well. This is a chicken, their life matters as well, they need to be respected and treated well. How could that kid ever grow up to hate somebody based on the color of their skin or based on the shape of their eyes? It's just like such a far stretch to imagine that in a vegan world we would actually have racist kids growing up, indoctrinated to be racist. So I think that speciesism is actually one of the, like, I believe that all injustices are interconnected, and I think it's one that we absolutely can't avoid. It's like it's one of the shameful spots in our countries, or even our human race's history. Just like how people colonized this country from Native Americans. It's one of those shameful things that people don't really talk about much, but we have to kind of confront it to be able to make amends with ourselves.
Well, I really have to go.
All right.
I'd love to have this continued
No,
conversation.
yeah, I appreciate it. If you want to check out my channel, if you want to ever reach out to me, I could even interview for a live stream or something like that. It's Haz Vegan on YouTube. Haz. It's my name.
Haz Vegan.
It's one word. Haz Vegan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. Bye. All right. That was a good conversation. He was really engaging in good faith, and really enjoyed that conversation with Kevin. And maybe he'll reach out in the future. Anyway. Thank you all for being here. My name is Haz. I'm holding the sign. It says, "Come participate in a social experiment." I know it's backwards, but I just read it for you. So that's what it says. And if you're here, please hit the like button. Give me a little double tap here on your phone. See some awesome people in the chat. Thank you all for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep it rolling here. I don't have too much time today. Tierson says omnivore all the way. I'm with you. I'm an omnivore too. But omnivore is just a biological classification. It doesn't have a bearing on what we should do in terms of our behavior. It's just like, yeah, I'm an omnivore. Like, I was born with the ability to digest both animals and plants, but it's not a moral prescription. It's just a description of our biology. So probably just have one more conversation. Thank you all for being here. I see some Trump people in the. No, I do not. I do not support Donald Trump. But I do have to say, the left, as it's called, is very hostile to vegans. So not really a fan of any kind of like party or things like that. I'm kind of an outsider when it comes to human politics. Let's put it that way. We'll see if anybody stops the next 5 minutes or so. But you know what? You guys can talk about whether people ought to vote for Republicans, Democrats, Independents, etc. But really, I would say that one of the most important votes that you can make is the vote that you make with your dollar, right? When you spend money, you're basically voting for the kind of society, the kind of world you want to see. If you vote for animals to be put in gas chambers, to have their throats slit, you're voting for violence. And to quote James from the Vegan Sign Guy or Above the Horizon, not being vegan is not being nice. So, try and be brave. I like that, Dooney. Try and be brave. And I would say that, one of the bravest things to do is go against the grain of society. And supporting veganism, animal liberation, it's one of the bravest things that you can actually do. And if you're one of the people who's not like left wing, I guess, if you do support Donald Trump, if you're against all the woke stuff and whatever, go vegan. Still go vegan. It's not going to make you a worse person if you go vegan. If you stop exploiting animals, I would say that would actually make you a better person. And then in some ways you can talk to people who are left wing if they're not vegan and be like, yo, BTW, you're telling me to be more compassionate or considerate or more woke or whatever, but do you still eat farmed animals? Do you still murder animals for taste pleasure, right? I don't care why you go vegan. If you want to go vegan to own the libs, then do it. I don't think you should be anti-liberal or anti-leftist, but that's it's another story. Charles Walter says, "Stop killing lettuce." If you think that plants feel pain, that's actually an argument for veganism, because if you eat plants directly, then you're causing fewer plants to die than if you were to feed them to animals and then eat those animals. So, if your argument is that plants feel pain or that we shouldn't kill plants, you should be vegan too, because you'd result in less plants dying. I do appreciate everybody for being here, though, vegan or not. It's nice to have people watching, engaging with the chat, thinking about these things. These ideas are things that society presses down. So the more people we have actually engaging with the topic of animal rights and speciesism, the better. So keep thinking about it, keep talking about it. Maybe even do a little thought experiment. Pretend that a vegan world is already here. You can think of all the amazing vegan dishes, tofu curries, and vegan pizzas and flatbreads and plant-based sausages and Philly cheesesteak, just made with vegan stuff, right? We don't have to kill animals just to satisfy our taste for good food. I hope you guys are enjoying this music. We got some nice, I guess you call it some jazz, maybe some jazz music in the background. So if you're vegan, I'd love to know in the chat how long you've been vegan for. If you're not vegan, I'm wondering, I guess maybe if you could write your favorite animal to eat. But here's one caveat. Like if you like eating pigs, for example, don't say pork, don't say bacon, say pigs. If your favorite food is, let's say, steak, I'm using air quotes, don't say steak, say cow. If it's like wings, say chickens. So say the species of the animal, because it's important to at least give them the decency of recognizing who your victims are. And I'm really gonna have to go in a little bit. I'm hoping that I was hoping that I can have another conversation. Maybe I can have a little short one. By the way, if you're not subscribed, give me a subscribe. I come out here and do this kind of thing. And also, I have a plan in the works to do this kind of like Jubilee type thing where I'm going to do a surrounded with basically 20 non-vegans or anti-vegans. So if you want to see that, it's going to be up probably in a couple months, but just go ahead and subscribe and then you'll see that when it comes out. It is going to come out. I am going to do it. It's just a matter of when, not if. So if you want to see that, like me sitting surrounded by 20 non-vegans, give it a subscribe. So I just adopted a dog actually from the shelter a few days ago, and I'm not really sure how long I can leave him at home without taking him out on a little potty break. So that's why I'm just in a little bit of a hurry. I think he's fine. It's been about 4 hours at this point, but he's also hungry because he's used to eating like around 5. Robin Wyckoff says pet enslavement. Well, this dog was in a shelter, so this dog was actually found as a stray. So it's adoption. I didn't pay for him to be bred into existence. I'm against people shopping from like breeders. I'm all for the adopt, don't shop thing. So I don't think it's enslavement. I think it's adoption. And I'm currently transitioning him to a plant-based diet. He came to me not eating a plant-based diet, but he's doing really well transitioning over to VDOG. So I think it's going pretty well too. He's going to be a plant-based puppy. Let's see if anybody else stops. Give it like maybe 5 minutes. And dogs can be perfectly healthy on a plant-based diet. And even cats, there's a lot of evidence showing that they can actually thrive on a plant-based diet. Chemo Lolo says forcing a dog to be unhealthy like you is not. No, I mean, dogs can be perfectly healthy, plant-based diet. I'm perfectly healthy myself. I've had my labs checked, like liver function, kidney function, heart function, hormone profile. I have the testosterone of a person who's in their early to mid 20s, if not younger. No issues with my health whatsoever. I mean, I could stand to lose like maybe 4 or 5 percentages of body fat, but I'm in the low 20s. I stay active. I exercise all the time. I eat very little oil. I eat no gluten. I haven't eaten gluten in years. I eat mostly whole foods, not even a lot of processed plant-based foods. I can deadlift about 350 for reps. I can curl 35-pound dumbbells in each hand. I'm really not doing that bad, honestly, and I'm 38 years old. So yeah, I think that both me and my dog are hopefully going to live many more healthy, happy years. 24K Lena says, why are you denying a dog natural rights to eat what God created? Well, the thing is that I don't believe in killing one animal to feed another animal. I can't justify it to myself for another animal to be farmed just to feed, another animal. Detroit Siggy says, how old are you? I'm 38. All right, we'll give it a couple more minutes. Hopefully somebody stops. If not, I will have to call it now. So thank you guys all for being here, if you're vegan or not. For me, it's obviously an issue if you're not vegan, but I still respect you as a person. If you're not vegan, I don't think that you're a bad person. I do think that you might be doing something that goes against your inner truth, like your actual values might actually want you to be a nonviolent person. You might not be aware of the violence you're supporting by eating animals. I wasn't aware of what I was responsible for many years. For 2 years, I actually stopped eating animals, but I was still paying for dairy products, egg products, honey, other types of animal exploitative processes. And then when I looked into the footage, I actually saw like animals on a slaughterhouse floor that were from the dairy industry. And I was like, wait, I'm actually still paying for this by eating dairy products. So I don't think you're a bad person if you're not vegan. I just think that you're probably not being your best possible self. Okay, so we'll see if someone stops by. I'm gonna try to kind of stretch my time here just a little bit. But that was a good first conversation with Kevin there. I think he was very open-minded and engaging in very good faith, which was very refreshing to see. So again, if you're not already subscribed, give me a subscribe. You'll get to see a lot of future streams. Sometimes a lot of people stop, sometimes nobody stops, but in any case, I'm out here. It's Friday night. Why not? And if you haven't liked the stream yet, give it a like also. Maybe you want to give it a... Also, by the way, I kind of pinched my hand. I don't know if you guys can see that. I pinched it on something in my bag when I was getting it out, but it's okay. I have a good immune system, and my cells can turn over and regenerate, and it'll be all good. But yeah, I do want to kind of call it, because if I get into another conversation, it's going to be another like 20 minutes or something maybe, and I just don't want my dog to have to pee or on the floor. I don't want him to be really uncomfortable, but we'll work it out. He's just new. I just adopted him this week, so hopefully I'll get a better understanding of his pee schedule and stuff like that. But thanks to everybody for being here. Appreciate everybody for your presence here, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. But thank you all for being here, and I appreciate your time. To all the vegans, thank you for being vegan. To all the non-vegans, continue looking into this. Really ask yourself if you're okay with animals being killed for you. It's really a worthwhile question. It's not for me that you would go vegan. It's not for anyone else other than literally the animals, and for yourself to not be a hypocrite when you say that you're an animal lover. That's really kind of what it boils down to. And in the meantime, something I like to do sometimes is just ask you guys to just think of 3 things that you're grateful for. This is a really, really powerful practice. I find that the benefits of it are just multifold, like unexpected benefits. Just try it. Okay, just try it. Think of 3 things. Start with 1. First step. 1 thing you're grateful for. Could be a person, place, a thing, a concept, something you're grateful for. What are you grateful for? Just think of something. For me, I would say that I'm grateful for music. I'm really grateful for music. I think that it adds so much joy to life. Sometimes when it's just silent, a few notes can just like totally change your whole mood. Like I don't know if you guys can hear this music, but there's this guy just like, you know, on the saxophone here. He's just kind of rocking on the sax. So music, I think, is something that we really ought to be grateful for. Something else that I'm grateful for is language. I'm really grateful that we have language. Like I wasn't born in a time when I couldn't understand other people, and we just had to be like, "Roar, roar, just like making sounds or trying to like figure out what the hell other people are saying. So like language is just crazy. Think about if we didn't have language. You guys would just be hearing sounds coming out of your phone or TV or whatever, looking at me. You'd be like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's basically like not being able to hear. Of course, sign language is great too, but I'm going to lump that in under language. So first thing I'm grateful for is music. Next thing I'm grateful for is language. And third thing I'm grateful for are vegan activists. I'm really grateful for people who not only abstain from exploiting animals in their day-to-day lives and try to seek alternatives to animal exploitation processes and products, but actually strive to help edify others about it, to be a voice for the animals who aren't ever going to be able to free themselves from this oppression. So, music, what was the second thing? It slipped out of my brain. What was the second thing I was grateful for? Music, communication, right? Language, and vegan activists. So yeah, that's the stuff I'm grateful for today. Music, language, and vegan animal rights activists. And really activists for anybody who's trying to free someone from oppression, especially if those victims are vulnerable, defenseless, and innocent. So that includes like activists trying to help children from trafficking and exploitation and stuff like that too. Children have a really soft place in my heart, and animals, like the non-human animals, they're basically like children, right? They're vulnerable, they're defenseless, and they're innocent. So thank you all for being here. Kemololo says, is that Chicago? Yes, I'm in downtown Chicago right now. You want to look around. So this is the Michigan Avenue Magnificent Mile. We got lots of people walking around on a busy Friday. So anyway, thank you guys all for being here. And subscribe if you haven't already. We can reconvene our little interaction at another time. Talk about stuff we're grateful for. Zachary Barfield says, like the children in Gaza, yes, my heart just is shattered. I can't talk to you enough about how devastating it is to see the stuff coming out of Gaza. It's heartbreaking. But yeah, thank you guys for being here, and take care. Bye now, and be well, and do something kind for yourself today, which doesn't involve hurting others. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody. Bye for now. Take care. Be well. Be grateful, and be kind. Bye, bye, bye.